Hi everyone, welcome to week 5 of MBA 583, Strategic Planning and Implementation. This week we have 4 objectives. We're going to look at discussing the 5 reasons why annual objectives are essential for effective strategy implementation. We're going to identify and discuss 6 reasons why policies are essential for effective strategy implementation. We're also going to discuss the need to match a firm's structure with its strategy and perform an EPS EBIT analysis to evaluate the attractiveness of debt versus stock as a source of capital to implement strategies. So if we look at annual objectives are the desired milestones an organization needs to achieve to ensure that our strategies are implemented successfully. So the goal of annual objectives is that they represent the basis for allocating resources. Our budgets are done on an annual basis, and so we have to think of what our annual objectives are that relate to the budget. They're really the primary way that we go about evaluating our staff and our managers. Are you meeting your objectives for the year or are you not? Annual objectives are also the major instrument for monitoring progress towards those long-term goals. If you remember, in previous weeks we talked about establishing long-term objectives, and then we break them down into annual goals. Annual objectives also establish the priorities for all of our divisions and our departments, and they're really essential for keeping our strategic plan on track. If we miss an annual goal, then we're probably not going to meet our end target date. So if you look at figure 7-3 in your book, you can see how all of this relates graphically. So if you look at the long-term company objectives at the top, and then you can see how we break them down into annual objectives for each of the divisions. And then from there, we can take the Division 1 and break down those objectives into each of the areas that fall under Division 1. Okay. And so what we want to do by this is that we're clearly stating and communicating our objectives to each of those departments so that they know why they need to do it, how it helps with profitability, growth, market share, all of those types of things come together in this respect. One way that we can support our strategic plan and our objectives is by having policies. I'm sure you have policies in your organization, and some organizations have more policies and some have less. But they really are those specific guidelines that document methods, procedures, rules, forms that go towards helping us reach our stated goals. Some organizations have such a strong culture that they don't have a lot of policies. Nordstrom's is a company that doesn't have a lot of policies because their culture is so strong that the people that work for them really just kind of govern each other and keep everyone on track. Other organizations are more bureaucratic, and then they have a lot more policies. If you think of the government, lots of bureaucracy, lots of policies and procedures. We can also think of policies as setting those boundaries in terms of how much vacation pay do you get, how many sick time. And then they really set those expectations for both employees and managers. We want everyone to know what is expected of them and the end result of this is to make sure that we're increasing the likelihood that our strategies are going to be implemented successfully. And it also provides a basis for control, which we need in different forms in order to make our goals and objectives. Policies are a good way to reduce the amount of time that managers spend making decisions, because we can say that here's the policy for this, we have to follow the policy. And then things move along a little bit quicker. So if you think of the types of resources that we have in organizations, we have financial resources or the assets that can be used to achieve our objectives. We have physical resources, human resources, and technological resources. Some of the latest research shows that there's a 5th element, it's emotional resources, and that really goes to how are people feeling about our organization, are they committed, are they not? And well, a lot of that falls under human resources. In some cases, we're breaking that out to be a 5th area. So when we're looking to allocate resources, we're really looking at allocating resources based on strategies. And then strategic management really enables us to allocate those based on their priorities. Okay? So how are we going to allocate those assets across products, regions, strategies, all of that coming together? Our budget is only so much per year, and so we need to figure out where are the best ways to allocate our people, our time, our money, our products, all of those things come together. And now that we have understand our annual objectives and our strategies, we need to make sure the structure of the organization supports what we're doing. And so we can look at different types of structure. But before we get into that, one of the things to consider in your own organization is it taking a long time to get things done in terms of there's too many levels of management. We're finding today that a lot of organizations are becoming more flat with less levels in between. When you go to meetings, are there too many people there that you're really not being effective? That's a symptom of an ineffective organizational structure. Is the span of control too large? If you remember from your other business classes, span of control says that there's a set number of people that one manager can effectively and efficiently supervise. If you're not reaching objectives, if our business performance is declining, if we're losing ground to rival firms, these are all indicators that we need to take a look at our organizational structure. So if you think of a functional structure, what we're thinking about is organizations that are grouped by functional tasks. So we have a human resources function, marketing, research and development, IT types of functions. Okay. In a lot of cases, that seems really good to have a functional structure because we're hiring the best IT people, we're hiring the best research and development people. And in that respect, it is a good way to go. But what happened, one of the drawbacks of this type of structure is that research and development only does research and development. So unless we have a way of having them talk to the IT people and really talk to finance and accounting, then people kind of can get into a silo effect. So we want to be considerate of that. A divisional structure is really organized by geographic area, product or service, customer, processes. So if you think of the Nike company, Nike could be organized by geography, right? So if you think of Nike USA versus Nike Europe versus Nike Asia, we have different sports in each geographic area. So we could easily organize that way and then have marketing, the functions fall underneath the geographic area. And this is, has a lot of advantages and disadvantages. It can really have a clear accountability path, so we really know is North America doing well, is Asia doing well. It really allows those leaders in those areas to respond to the needs of their individual cultures rather than kind of checking back home or going through a lot of time, taking a lot of time to do what needs to be done in their area. But it can also be costly, and we definitely have a duplication of functional activities because we're doing human resources for North America and then human resources for Asia. So it's really, we need to consider those types of things. Another one we could do is a strategic business unit structure, which really groups similar divisions into strategic business units and then delegates the authority and responsibility for each unit to a senior executive. It can really help facilitate strategy implementation by improving coordination between similar divisions and then channeling accountability to distinct business units. And as the number, size, and diversity of divisions in an organization increases, then we come into how do we control and evaluate divisional operations, which can be difficult. A matrix structure is interesting because it allows for you to have kind of like a home team. So we have all the research and development people together, all the accounting people together, and then we basically pull out one from research and development, one from accounting to work on a particular product. So we can kind of see this in a lot of car companies where we'll have someone working on the new Prius, and we'll have someone from the research and development team, someone from accounting, someone from marketing. But the problem is that you end up having two bosses. So you have your boss for research and development, and then you have your boss for the actual product that you're working on. So if we switch now into how to acquire capital to implement our strategies, we may not have a lot of cash on hand. We want to consider how much stock shares we want to issue. Maybe we want to do a combo. So we want to look at the earnings per share, the EPS. EPS is the net income divided by the number of shares outstanding, okay, or the number of shares issued. So EBIT is the earnings before interest and taxes, also referred to as our operating income. So we want to look at these types of things. So if you look at table 8-4, there's a good example of a EPS EBIT analysis. So if we say that we need to have $100 million in capital, because that's what it's going to cost us to implement our strategies, our EBIT range is 20 to 40 million. and our interest rate is 5%, our tax rate is 30%, stock price is 50, and the number of shares outstanding is 500 million shares. So in this case, we're going to look at, do we want to do 100% debt? Do we want to look at 100% stock or a 50-50 debt stock combo? So if we look at EBIT for the 100% debt, okay, it's 20 million to 40 million, which we knew. The interest is 5 million. The EBT is 15 to 35 million. Taxes are 4.5 to 10.5 million. EAT is 10.5 to 24.5. And then we see the shares in the EPS. Okay. And so we look at the best finance. We can look at the same categories for stock and the 50-50. And so what we're looking at is what is the EPS values. We're looking for the largest EPS value. So if you look at that bottom row, where do you see that? Okay. It's in the 100% stock, right? Option is really the best one. So that's what we would choose for this. And if you look at figure 8-6, it shows you the chart. So if you want to look at more graphically, sometimes that's an easier way to look at things. And so it shows us the analysis that we just did. All right, well, thank you for a good week 5. We'll get on to the next chapter. Thank you.